Hi everybody, it's David Porter. Tolerance. Tolerance is a contemporary virtue. You are considered a virtuous individual if you are a tolerant individual. There is a movement afoot to identify pedophiles, sexual predators, as a stigmatized group. They should be referred to as MAPs, minor attracted persons, rather than pedophiles, because that's stigmatizing. Wow, really? Our nation and Western civilization are becoming increasingly lost. Our moral compass is spinning. That is even a concern that those who victimize children should not be referred to by a stigmatizing label is insane. I don't think people understand the damage that pedophiles do, and yes, I am aware that a pedophile technically is a adult who has sexual desire for prepubescent children, differentiated from a hebephile, those who have a desire for parapubescent or early teen children, or teenagers, whatever. These people do considerable damage. These people change their victims very often for life. They scar them for life. They're like vampires. In vampire lore, the vampire bites their victim, and then the victim becomes like the vampire. They become a vampire themselves. Pedophiles infect their victims with PTSD, with sexual trauma. They open the door to addiction. They open the door to an abbreviated lifespan, to a stripping away of one's core value as a human. And people who have had their core value as a human being stripped away tend to grossly neglect self-care. They smoke, they drink, they neglect medical and dental care, they don't exercise, they eat garbage, they are more likely to suffer heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancer. They tend to engage in more reckless and impulsive behavior, which makes them more susceptible to serious injury, fractures of major bones, traumatic brain injury. They're more likely to be involved in motor vehicle accidents. They're more likely to be involved in criminal behavior, to get divorced, or to father children that they don't take any responsibility for. They tend to have very, very difficult lives because their core sense of value has been stripped away. This is what pedophiles do to their victims. They teach their victims experientially, you have no control, you are of no value, you are a plaything for me to do with whatever I wish. Pedophiles victimize children, multiple children, or they victimize the same children repeatedly year after year. And like the vampire, they infect their victim with a poison, and the victim may actually become a vampire themselves, meaning that as they grow older, they may sexually predate on others. What I was starting to say before is I'm aware there's a difference between a pedophile, which is a individual who experiences deviant sexual desire towards children, versus a sexual predator. The difference is the pedophile may not engage in contact offenses or even exposure to video or images of children, They will have the desire, but they will not offend. Yes, I understand there are people like that out there. The ones I'm talking about are the predators, the ones who act on that desire. And you know what stigma does? Stigma produces shame. To be stigmatized is to be separated from a group, to be differentiated from a group. It is to be subjected to shaming and guilt. Guilt and shame are very, very powerful motivators of behavior. People who have this terrible deviance in their heart, let them be ashamed. Let them feel guilty. It may stay their hand. It may give them the motivation not to offend. It is very, very twisted to remove that barrier by calling them a stigmatized group, by treating them like victims. What about personal responsibility? What about accountability? What about, instead of society accommodating your deviance, what about you adapting to society and regulating yourself? It's really, really disturbing when I hear trends like this, when I hear this even being suggested, that some people's minds will even go there, and then it goes online, it becomes a viral idea, and other people pick it up and accept it because they're so open-minded and so tolerant. Everybody, for what it's worth, I know I have a very small audience. For what it's worth, really question trends. Really question the contemporary social justice narratives. And ask yourself, you know, if blanket tolerance is always a good thing, or if there are certain actions in a civilized society which are just intolerable. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it if you'd hit subscribe, and please be safe.